This is the Bar Steward's Inquiry.
Right? You are talking absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
In what way?
You were an underachiever in life. I saved your bacon one time. You were gone.
You handled that well. I couldn't save you. But you did the right thing.
But that's why you don't know anything about racing, John.
I didn't say I do.
Right?
I'm saying that...
What have you contributed to racing? You're one of these take-out merchants. Take out all you can.
Hello and a very warm welcome to the Bar Stewards Inquiry podcast. I'm Cathryn Fry and I'm in the presenter's chair this evening. Alongside me are three fonts of all knowledge. We've got John Leng, we've got Quentin Franks, and we've got Neville Ender. We'll be taking you through the best bets of the day, the best of the TV action, and a look at the long walk hurdle at Ascot. So without further ado, let's have a chat to the panel. John, I'll start with you. John, can you unveil your third best bet of the day, or weekend in fact?
Well, this will start us off with expectations nice and low, won't it, given my current form? My worst of my three, should I call it? My 1 point win bet is Night in Dubai in the 150 at Ascot. I had a little poke around this race and I thought, well, Palmer's Hill looks as though there was probably a couple of ounces up his sleeve last time. Mm-hmm. And, you know, please God and all that for the popular green and gold. And, you know, I like to try and get those bait if possible.
Absolutely.
I thought this one had a little bit of a sighter last time over a sharper trip. I think going back up in trip won't hurt his chance at all, really. And I think the rating's quite fair, really, so he'll go for me here.
Okay, so that's Night in Dubai for John for the third best bet. We'll say good evening to Quentin. Quentin, of course, the king of the all-weather, king of the sand. Quentin, what have you got for us in third place?
In third place, Cathryn, I've got a jumps bet because the all-weather looks tricky this week. Favourites look priced right. Okay. So my third best bet comes, and it's Stellar Magic, which runs in the 205 at Haydock. Okay. He appeals as a well-handicapped horse. He won 2 or 3 last season and blew out at Warwick on his last start. I'm quite happy just to put a line through that. Right. His run at Taunton came in a decent time. The form's fair with Alaphilippe winning a Grade 2 at Haydock and then running a fine race in the Albert Bartlett. He's been nibbled in the market already. I think it was 7-2. He's 11-4, 3-1 at the moment, and I'd have him shorter than that still. So yeah, that will be my third best bet.
Okay, yeah, and of course the Hub Stable continuing to fire in the winners as they've been doing since the start of the season. Yep. Neville, good evening. Good evening. What is your third best bet?
My third best is at Navan, and it's in the 255 race, and it's a big field of handicappers, but there's one horse that I think gets in a little bit under the radar, although I've noticed that the bookmakers haven't completely ignored it. A horse called Time and Times, who has not run over fences for quite a while. In fact, he's only run over fences on 6 previous occasions, and his form figures read 000 UPP. But since then, he seems to have got his act together and has run really well over hurdles. In fact, this season he's been very consistent, posting ratings of around mid-90s on more than one occasion. He gets in off a mark of 77, although he's £1 out of the handicap, so in effect he's running off 78, but his hurdles rating is 85. I would rather be on a horse like this that's going from inform over hurdles to chasing than the other way around, from chasing off a good mark to a lower mark over hurdles. I think he's got a right chance. It's not impossible there could be a bit of a run on him. I have no idea what price he is, but I did notice in the Racing Post betting he was one of the favourites, which is a shame really, but I think he gets in off a good mark, and despite his form figures when he was last chasing, and it's a long time since he last chased. I'm just trying to see exactly. It's about 3 seasons since he was last over fences. So they've also had plenty of options with him to stay hurdling, but they've decided to go over fences because there's so many of these 0 to 100 races or 0 to 95 races in Ireland for handicap hurdlers. So they must have done some schooling with him and must be happy with him. I'd take a risk on him if he's about 4 or 5 to 1.
He is actually, for the big names have priced him up at 4 to 1.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's sitting second favourite behind Handsworth. So yeah, awesome. Like that one very much. And Sean O'Keefe taking the mount there. Okay, let's go around the other way. Quentin, what's your second best bet, please?
My second best bet comes in the last race at Lingfield, the 340. As I mentioned at the start of the show, looks tricky on the all-weather this week, so I've put a shorty in that I think should be odds on. Only one firmer up at the moment, though. The race lacks pace, and I'm pretty sure Reset Button, as I said, should be odds on for it. It's a fairly obvious case to be made for him. He won well last time out at Wolverhampton. They clocked a fair time with a decent upgrade, and the form started to work out. The second's won since, the fifth has won since, and the second's, I think, 13 to 8 for a race tomorrow as well. He should get a solo up front with no pace in the race, and cheek pieces are on first time, which looks a positive as well.
Excellent. Okay,
that's my second best bet.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks, Quentin. Okay, Neville, what's your second best bet?
My second best is a horse of Alan King's that I backed for the Triumph Hurdle last year. I took 20 to 1 after he won at Kempton. And anyway, to cut a long story short, he started 4 to 1 and never ran a race. I think he finished 5th. But I still think there's some mileage in his handicap mark. He runs, the horse is called Tritonic, and he runs in the big handicap hurdle at the end of the card at Ascot, the 335. He ran last time in the Greatwood off a mark of 142. He's been dropped £1, which may not seem very much, but he's actually meeting the winner and the third on several pounds better terms because they've both been raised, and it does bring him very close to those at the weights. And he's going to be 12, 14 to 1. Well, there are single figure prices, but I think quite interestingly is that he's never actually ran a particularly good race at Cheltenham. He ran, as I said, he ran poorly in the Triumph Hurdle last year. He finished second in a 4-horse race, first time back in, I think it was an intermediate hurdle won by one of Tristan Davis's, and then he ran in the Greatwood last time. But his Ascot form bears close inspection. He was second at Royal Ascot over 1.25 miles in 2020, and he was also a winner of a handicap subsequently on the flat. So Ascot. So I think Ascot will play to his strengths. There is maybe, if it came up really soft, that might put a question mark as to whether he would actually take his chance, because I did read that Alan King had said that he wants the ground nearer good than soft. But you know, he's a big price. He's a class horse from the flat going hurdling, and he has got winning hurdles form at Ascot. I think a strongly run race could really suit him.
Okay, Tritonic. Okay, that's great. Just having a look to see if we can. Let's see what price. It must be priced up by now. Tritonic. Yeah, I think you're right. Actually, he's 14 to 1. 11's the lowest in places. But yeah, no, that's great. Thanks, Neville. John, what's your second best bet of the day?
Continuing my Grizzly run of form. I'm actually going in the 335 at Ascot. I'm Nev. I'm going with the green and gold this time with No Ordinary Joe.
Okay.
I thought ran a ripper last time against that West Cork thing of Skelton.
Skelton's, yeah.
I think with them absolutely pumping the hell out of that to get it ready for that first time up, I think that might be a bit of a bounce candidate, but I thought No Ordinary Joe looked to me as though it would come on for that run.
Okay. Third in the Greatwood.
Yeah, and I think he's very solid for the frame anyway, so I'm going to go a point each way on that one.
Okay, that's brilliant. Right, okay. So we're going to go with your best bets, the best bets of the day. Neville, what's your best bet of the day?
Well, I've given 2 reasonable prices, but I am going to go for something a little bit shorter.
That's okay.
And my nap, and I don't often get involved in bumper races or national and flat races, but the last race at Newcastle sees the second start of Edward Bethel's Trolley Boy, who is a very unusual runner for this yard in a bumper, and he started 13-8 favourite for his only previous start at Market Raisin in a junior bumper in a race won by Poetic Music, who has since gone on to win under a penalty and has since changed stables, that winner. The third horse was La Fille de Force, who reopposes, and that has won since, and that is now £7 worse in with Trolley Boy. And the fifth horse of Oliver Seeney's, called Decorated, has also won since at Hereford. So for what looked to be an ordinary bumper at the time, it's worked out fantastically well, and I think he's definitely the best on form. I don't think there's any question about that. Of all the horses, 2, 4, 6 of the 11 have ran previously, he's the best on form. The newcomers you wouldn't know, but there was nothing outstanding, nothing really well bred, i.e. an ex-Godolphin horse that never made it to the track, or they've got pretty ordinary pedigrees, the newcomers, apart from one who's got a real good staying, chasing pedigree. So I'm willing to take that one on. I think Trolley Boy, if he's around 2 to 1, I think he's a real good bet.
Okay. Early prices looking bet 365 goes 6 to 4. Valley Power go 15 to 8. So okay, that's brilliant. Thanks, Neville. John, what's your second? No, not your second. What am I talking about? Your big bet of the day. What is it?
Yeah, it's fairly obvious this really. I'm rocking along with Andy Richmond's mate Ray Mastered in the Tommy Whittle.
Okay.
It looks fairly obvious. He might well have won the Ladbroke Trophy, known as the Hennessy, last time out. I think, really, given a clear round, you'd be hard pressed to say this not winning if it comes in the same form that it was in the Hennessy. Handles heavy ground. The only other one that I thought might be dangerous was that Engard, who's really bred for this sort of test on the ground. He was like the only one I was coming up with as any sort of alternative. So I thought, anyway, sod it, I'm going all in 3 points win with 3 Mastered.
The Mastered. Okay, yeah, absolutely. He did take quite a crasher at Newbury, but thankfully all right after that. So hopefully no ill effects. But yeah, you're right, John. This looks like the next natural step after that. And remember when the Tommy Whittle was actually used to be on the Gold Cup pattern, didn't it?
Did, yeah. I mean, they're all taking a bit of a dip, these races, aren't they? I mean,
yeah.
It's just getting sad, really.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
It's actually a disappointing Tommy Whittle this year, I think.
Yes, it is. Yeah. I used to work at Haydock about 20 years ago, and I think that was kind of the beginning of the end, really. I think that the fields have just got, the quality has just got worse, really, especially over the last 10. But yeah, there we go.
Were you there when Turkey Babes got the job then?
No,
Or did you bail before he arrived?
No, I moved back south, and you know, it was like when I was having a little foray in the north, I was working at Haydock. So
you knew there was something in the wind and scared.
Yeah, I didn't want to get watered. Yeah, basically that was it. Yeah, but I mean, the fact that they are declaring heavy already, I sort of looked at that and groaned a bit, I must say. But there we go. Anyway, Quentin, what's your best bet of the day, please?
My best bet of the weekend comes in the 2 o'clock at Lingfield. I thought the Dubai Warrior was the overpriced 1 here. He's a proper weather monster and hasn't shown anything on turf. He came from John Gosden's yard. He's now with David Loughnane, where he's had a couple of starts. He looked to have come on for the run at Dundalk. He was weak on the show and just shaped like needing the run. And then the run last time out at Lingfield, kind of like a confidence builder to my eye. He was in rear in a steadily run race. It made late ground into a quickening pace in first time eye shields. He won the race 2 years ago. He shaped like he retained ability last time out. Looks to be a bit more pace on here tomorrow. I'd like to think from 2 they'll sit handier with him. But he's more than capable of picking these up. I put him in second favourite, to be honest.
Okay.
Palavachenko and Garden Paradise should set a decent gallop. He's got a lot going forward for him. Regal Reality hasn't been on the all-weather. Garden Paradise dropping trip probably won't suit. And he's 10-1. So I thought he was a good chunk overpriced there.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, I thought absolutely. Considering the price you have him at, yeah, brilliant. Okay, that's brilliant. Thanks, everyone. Okay, we're going to take a look at the TV races at Haydock. So we'll start with the 205, the Virgin Bet Handicap Hurdle. Event over 2 miles and 3 furlongs. Who wants to pitch in first? Who's got a certainty in there?
Well, I went with Stella Magic in he was my third best bet, so that's
yours.
That's that from me.
John, I know you love the jumps. What have you got?
I did have a look at this, and I thought there was a fair few coming into this off layoffs, or being ridden, in my opinion, by fairly questionable jockeys, ability-wise. I'm not questioning the integrity of anyone tonight.
That's for Sunday.
Yeah, I keep that for the Sabbath. Look, I thought the one that looked most likely to put in a peak physical effort at this stage of the season was Ginger's horse, Art of Steel. He'd become an hard fit. He's only £4 higher than when he won at Carlisle. And, well, that was where the black spot landed in what looks a fairly dodgy race to me. Right?
Okay. And we all know how much you love the McCain stable as well, John. So, yeah.
No, it's a never-ending stream of riches this season, isn't it? You know, I mean...
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the only winner I've backed since October was the lad that won I'm a Celebrity.
Didn't know you did reality TV betting, John. We'll have to think of a pod for that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Neville, do you have any fancies in this?
This is a really tricky race because you've got most of the field coming back with something to prove. Solar Motion, top weight, having his first start for Dan Skelton, has been off for 700 days. Ex-Nicky Henderson horse. Anne Duffield's got a rare jump runner, Ngolo, who was trained by Willie Mullins. I doubt whether she's going to improve that one, and yet it runs off its same mark as it did in Ireland. Stella Magic, we've already heard about that, but that's also got something to prove. It got injured on its last run, and it's 306 days in heavy ground. I can't believe they're going to really they're not going to give that, and certainly it won't be hard race fit. I wouldn't have thought. You've got Bossman Fred, another one, and Manila Charmer, who are both coming off the back of long breaks. It's a hard race to get an angle on, but I thought maybe Up for Parole of Jamie Snowden's was worth a second look. He stays well, and you're going to need plenty of stamina in the ground at Haydock.
Yeah,
he won an Irish point to point in his younger days. You would have to put a line through his last run. They tried him over fences. Of course, he's back to hurdles this time. And his 2 hurdle runs earlier in the season were okay. Third to Camprond, who has since gone on to run well in top handicaps. And prior to that, he'd won at Fosslas and at Wetherby in March. And it beat a horse called Barrichello, who has gone on to win subsequently on more than one occasion. I wouldn't say he was thrown in off 127, but he's got less to prove than most of them, and he might represent a bit of value.
Okay, brilliant, thanks. Right, so we'll have a look at the Tommy Whittle. John, I know that you've gone with remastered. Quentin, is anything over the sticks for you here?
I was in John's camp with Remastered, but I thought the interesting one, if he drifts a bit, maybe to 20-1 plus, was Sam's Adventure. He kind of had the same profile last year, 2 blowout runs, and then picked up this race last year. He's a moody so-and-so. He got reminders early in last year's race, but if he drifts a bit, I think he's handicapped to go well enough. And he's only £3 above his last winning mark. So Henry Brook back on, who had his last win on him. I thought he was the interesting one if he got knocked out a few points.
Yeah, it could be one of those that just,
like Haydock for some reason.
Yeah, he's a bit of a rogue, but we'll come back and yeah.
It's one of these horses that's really going to be in trouble if they ever get rid of the stick, isn't he?
Yes.
I mean, whoever owns him is going to be thinking, oh, hang on. Because, you're going to do well to get him over the first 3, aren't you?
Well, you're not going to pay 25 grand to keep him in training, are you?
Absolutely.
A year.
No. Okay, Neville, anything catching your eye in the Tommy Whittle?
I think it's a weakish renewal. I mean, obviously, 0 to 145 handicaps are always very competitive, but there's nothing really outstanding. I came down on one of the longer price runners, Anthony Honeyball's horse, AC Milan, who was
like the ground.
He will love the ground. He won a good handicap hurdle on this card a couple of years ago, and he's got a similar-ish rating over hurdles to fences. I don't think he's particularly thrown in off 132, and he's only had 5 runs, which isn't a great amount to be running in these top-class handicaps, but he's open to improvement. They gave him a run over hurdles on his return when he finished 7th. He still held every chance up until going to the second last, and prior to that he'd ran well at Utoxeter in that big summer chase that they have. It's such a difficult race. I just felt that he's probably, if there is one that's got a little bit in hand of the handicapper, it could be him because he's got improvement. Sam's Adventure will go on the ground and stays forever, but he's just an old plodder. And, Remastered, it was a long way out when he fell in the Hennessy, or the Ladbroke as it's known now. And, he was travelling okay, but, 4 out is a long way from home to be thinking that he would have won. I think it's a poor renewal, and I think there's a lot of out of form horses there. Vintage Clouds showed nothing at Warwick last time. Not a Chance hasn't shown a great deal since he won the Classic Chase at Warwick. Potter's Legends out of form. There's a lot of horses that are not at the best yet are still within the best on their handicap mark. So I'm going to go with AC Milan, but I'm not confident, but I think it might, a double figure odds might have a chance.
Okay, that's brilliant. Right, let's go south to Ascot. Ascot, absolutely cracking cards. Always is this meeting. We'll have a look at the big one first, the long walk, and obviously sad news today that the favourite Buzz fractured his pelvis. Fingers crossed for his recovery if he comes back fit and well. That leaves us with Time Hill looking likely favourite, of course. Time Hill didn't run that well in France, but hopefully this might spark him again. I still have him down as a possible Stayers hurdle candidate. What are everybody's thoughts on such a thing?
Well, I thought that he's only lightly raced still. He's only had 11 runs in his life, yet he seems to have been around a long time. I think you can put a line through his run at Auteuil that French soft ground would have been. He's only a small horse, and I think that really testing ground will have been too much for him. And also, that those French hurdles are like mini fences. Yes. So I'm not going to worry about that run. And on the best of his form last year, he is the best horse in the race. There's no question about it. The others have to improve to match what he's done. Ronald Pump cost his connections only £1,000 and has done remarkably well. But he's still got a few pounds to find. He finished second to Honeysuckle 3 weeks ago in Ireland over 2.5. And I think it was as good a return as you could expect. Yes. But he's still got a little bit to find with Time Hill. Champ, the jury's out whether he really does enjoy it now. He certainly didn't look to be in love with chasing, even when he won the Royal and Sun Alliance chase. He left it very late, and the question mark. And Paisley Park, I'm afraid that those hard races that he's had seem to be taking the toll. He seems to have got to a level of maybe £7 or £8 behind his previous best, and I wouldn't be rushing to back him, although he probably will be placed. But I'm quite confident Time Hill will win though.
Yeah, I must admit, Time Hill's one of my favourite national horses at the moment. It's quite bizarre about Champ, isn't it? Because, I mean, he is actually bred to be a Gold Cup winner, but seems to sort of have a disregard for fences, even though he's won an RSA. He's a really odd character, and I wasn't expecting him to turn into a Stayers Hurdle candidate, I must admit.
Well, they ran him over 2 miles last year at Newbury to start off with, didn't they? Yeah. And then they ran him in the Gold Cup when he never. I don't know whether something was hurting him or not, but he never showed any aptitude to jumping fences. And I don't know whether they just can't find a chase for him or not, and they're going down the hurdles route. But I think I don't know whether he has or not, but he'd have a squiggly if I was.
He might end up running in the champion chase. well, if Champ's an odd character, I mean, what's the trainer?
Well, they're quite well matched, aren't they?
They are. It's a marriage made in heaven, isn't it, really? I mean, I mean, for a start, I mean, unless he knew Buzz was going to fracture its pelvis, it's very interesting that he decided to come here taking on Buzz. You know? I mean, what's that all about? I mean, is this a blatant sight? I didn't give a monkey's what Champ was going to be running against, because he's just going to have a little doggle round.
It could just be a
lack of races, really. I think
he's always on about lack of races, though, isn't he? It could just be, you know what? It could just be, just see what happens with Champ. Yeah, I think it could just very well be like that, but. I don't know, it'd be interesting.
We have the usual parts of the horse working the house down, haven't we? So, my expectation tomorrow is a big drift and everybody close to Champ and pink left, right, and centre. But
brilliant. Quentin, do you have any thoughts on the long walk hurdle?
I've got absolutely no thoughts at all. Too tough for me it was.
Yeah, no, it is tough. John, and obviously you're taking on Champ. Is there anything that you're going to be backing?
Well, it's pretty snookered, really. I like Ronald Pump.
Okay.
He's been backed all week, and I don't think I'll get involved now, but I thought the sharpener behind Honeysuckle was perfectly all right in the context of this.
Yeah.
I mean, Time Hill never makes a fair point about the ground in France, but they ought to have had a fair idea of what they were going for, and they'll have seen the French fences before.
Maybe the daughter made the entry.
Don't set me off. That one. You know what that'll lead to when the legal team this week.
Sorry, John. I couldn't resist. Yeah, exactly. You know what you're going to get in France, and you know what the Etoile fences are like. Interesting with Ronald Pump. I mean, he was, of course, second in a Stayers Hurdle, of course, with the winner of that race.
He might have won that as well.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, it was a funny race, wasn't it? Because Apple's Jade went off like at 1,000,000 miles an hour, took the sting out of Paisley Park. And maybe that, where you first saw the decline really of Paisley Park. And of course, Lisnagar was very soft anyway, ground then. Lisnagar Oscar come through and win. But Lisnagar Oscar is a hell of a price for this race tomorrow.
True.
And if Ascot get any rain at all, then he's just a very, very odd horse. And will have his day once in a blue moon, but there's
one of them races, isn't it? It's odd horses, odd trainers, odd entries. Yeah. Swerve.
Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah, but I really hope Time Hill wins it, because I know that the Hobbs family aren't your aren't your favourites, John. But no, sod them. Time Hill. I just like the horse anyway. So, right, where are we going to go? Quick before the solicitors get onto us. The closing race on the card, the Betfair Exchange Trophy. That's, I think. See, we touched on that with the best bets, and Neville going with Tritonic, and you were going with, John, remind me, was it?
No, Admiral Joe.
That's it. For some reason, I didn't want to say Goshen. I wanted to say Drop the Anchor. Of course, Drop the Anchor was one of ours from last season. That's why I've got it in my head so blatantly. But I think this is a cracking race. Again, do you know who I keep coming back to is Benson.
Yep.
Tongue time, Pfizer on first.
I took this shit house at Sandown last time. They put the jockey off at the last, ran on like buggery, just managed to sneak a place for me. Honestly, it was never going to win.
He is a bit odd, but he's talented odd. Drop the Anchor. Is the Anchor still going to be dropped? He's a little bit. There's 146. There's still room for a festival handicap. Anyway, okay, go on then. So John, you're with Drop the Anchor. I know that. Neville is why do I keep? You know what's going to happen now, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Tritonic is Neville. Quentin, you got any thoughts on this race?
I'm with you with Benson. He's a moody sod. He just looks like the type that headgear is going to perk up and just make him just stop being lazy. Obviously, he responds well to pressure. There looks stack load of pace in the race as well, which should help.
I just keep coming back to him.
Yeah, if they can get him into a rhythm and just get him moving forward. Hopefully, the advisor will help with that. He's 14, 16. I thought that was fair, to be honest.
You just take Ross to kick me in the bollocks tomorrow, that's for sure.
Have we completely given up on Goshen, do you think? Is it too early to write him off? It's only 4 runs ago he won the grade hurdle at Wincanton. Yeah, so and he won that by 20 lengths. He's running off 153, but he's not straightforward, is he, Goshen?
No.
My note on the Racing Post note just says equine wanker.
Yeah.
He didn't go badly last time out though. I place laid him and he was turning for home. He was still on the bridle. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Where did
it come in? Exactly. He came 4th or 5th, but it's not the race in the context. It's not too bad.
He didn't run that far behind his current rating actually, and that was 2.5, wasn't it, at Ascot? And he was still travelling, turning in. I wouldn't give up on him totally just yet, but he's not. He just doesn't seem to run 2 races alike, does he?
No. Well, he's finished now. If you look at so obviously, unfortunately, Buzz is injured. If we look back at the Ascot race he ran, and Buzz is sadly injured now. Song for Someone. Well,
he ran well last week.
Yeah, he did. And then the winner of that race I didn't
Nigel Twiston Davis's horse finish 3rd, and that's come out and won.
It's come out and won, and then Goshen is behind. But then Goshen is 11 lengths off Guard Your Dream. I mean, I thought that was one of the worst internationals I'd ever seen in my life, to be honest with you. So it was just, but fair play to Guard Your Dreams for winning it, and obviously he was dropping back in trip from the 2.425 that he'd been running over. I just don't know. I mean, he almost looked like another Arcona, didn't he, before he fell in the Triumph?
He looked exactly right. Yeah, I mean, he looked like he was nailed on to be a superstar, but and then they started saying that he doesn't like Cheltenham. And he'd have won the Triumph hurdle by half the running.
Make excuses for him. It wasn't a bad Triumph if you look back at it. I don't know. I just think, to be honest with you, I think he needs a really good psychologist and probably just a nice field. I don't know whether, the brain there doesn't make... He's obviously got ability, but maybe...
Dr. Jennifer Melfi wouldn't sort him out.
I think he might he might sort of be best off seeing someone in Harley Street rather than in Ascot, maybe. But who knows? I mean, tomorrow. But you see, even if he could come out and win this race tomorrow, and it'd be like, oh yeah, well, great marking.
Yeah, we knew he was good all along. Yeah.
And then he could maybe go on to something like the Schweppes, I'm going to call it, at Newbury, and then bomb out there. He's such a bizarre animal, and I must admit, I don't like backing horses like that. Before we wrap up, is there anything else that any of you want to mention?
I thought in the 3 o'clock race at Ascot, I thought that one of McManus's horses had a bit of a squeak. Jerry's Back.
Uh-huh.
He fell first time on his reappearance. You can forgive any horse for falling, but he's got some real good Ascot form. He finished 3rd behind the Smart Dressel Dasher off a higher rating than this at Ascot in January. I know it's almost 12 months ago, but in a race that I think it lacks quality for a 70 grand race.
Yeah, it does.
I don't think it's a particularly strong race. I know Regal Encore absolutely loves this race, and is it his 3rd time, his 4th time he's going to try and win this? But he's 13 now, and he's handicapped right up to the hill. You've got Grand Sancy, who there's a massive question mark whether he will stay 3 miles.
Yeah,
and he's second favourite. And even the Venetia Williams horse, it ran okay first time back. Blarmy to picked on, but is that really should that be favourite for a race like this? I thought at big prices, I thought if Jerry's Back can get himself into a rhythm, he looks fairly treated off 138, but 70 grand race, it's not a fantastic quality contest, I don't think.
I think it's a good race to play and run in this, actually, because I think they're going to go like stinky.
What do you make of Twisters? Check it out. Obviously, 3rd to Snow Leopardess at Aintree last time out, but ran okay at Ascot over 3 miles before that. Obviously, their stable's in pretty good form still.
I very nearly put this one up, actually.
Okay.
Because I actually did put it up at Aintree, and I didn't think it stayed.
Yeah.
Actually, I thought it was creeping nicely into the race. I thought, I'm in here, it's going to win. And I don't think it saw it out really from the second last. And I think to ride it similar tomorrow, I think there's plenty of pace. I mean, Storm Control's one that bowled long.
Yeah.
And Sam back over fences, that's going to be up there, I would have thought. Of
Caribbean Boy.
Yeah, the scatter pace on.
I think Step Back will definitely make it, won't it?
Yeah, I mean, the pace map's just about purple here. So I thought anything that can sit just nicely off these and get into a good rhythm would be a fair old play and running. So I'll probably have a look, see how the rad, check it out, and if he sets off okay and gets in a nice rhythm over the first 3 or 4, I'll probably have a little dabble.
Dabble, yeah. One for a dabble, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, anything else at Ascot or elsewhere that anybody would like to mention before we let people go on there?
Palmer's Hill in the 150 race. He's only lightly raced, and he won very easily at Wetherby. He's only been put up £4 for that win, and I think he looks to be a real improver. Again, it's another valuable contest, but it's made up of out of form horses. The 2 Nichols horses at the top, Dollis and Diego de Chamil, both out of form. Mm-hmm. Financier is by Dubawi out of a top class winning flat race mare. And it's lightly raced over fences, and that's that's running off 144. It's only been mentioned at about night in Dubai that earlier in the programme. But I thought Palmer's Hill looked a bit of an improver, and I thought he won very well at Wetherby. I thought he quickened up really well. He is dropping back slightly in trip, but you can't win hands and heels if you're just a plodder. So maybe he's suited by the drop back.
Yeah, and he's only up £4 for that win at Wetherby, and is of course That was the reappearance after finishing 9th in the Coral Cup. Yeah, absolutely. Can see that. There's a cliff horse of mine in this, and that's Sully Dock.
He's for me as well.
Yeah. It's one of those horses that I swear I'm not going to back.
I backed him at Cheltenham last year, I think.
He
ran okay. I've given up on him now.
There's a very interesting novice running at Navan tomorrow.
Okay.
In the 12:35 Journey with Me. It's not a betting proposition tomorrow, but I do think this horse is a genuine Cheltenham prospect.
Okay.
So it was really, really impressive in both bumpers. Probably some lines hurdle tape rather than Supreme novices.
Okay, I like this, John. I like this. This is proper like National Hunt watching for you.
Yeah, it's this one's definitely on my radar for the Fez.
For the Fez.
Yeah, could be in the portfolio before. The Fez folio we call it, don't we?
Does that mean that you're actually going to make a foray south to Cheltenham?
Oh, I don't know about that. I'll have to be sitting on a very, very nice Fez folio before I make that decision, you know.
Okay.
I've already be conkers, I'll be swerving it.
Well, hopefully we'll see you down here in March. I like that spot. It's 11:30 start at Navan tomorrow.
I know, they don't mess about, do they?
How are you going to get things done?
Jerry Hannon must be dreading it with all these runners in novice hurdles and the handicaps. There's like 30 runners a race. Earlier in the week, there must have been like 150 runners on the card. And they, in this country, to commentate, the share, if there's more than 103 runners, I think it is, they have 2 commentators. But in Ireland, one commentator does the whole meeting. So it must be a nightmare for them.
It must be, I suppose, really the main hurdles in Ireland, though. You get triers at the front, non-triers at the back. So you kind of do
about 5 triers and the rest.
So if you just concentrate on the 5 triers and then maybe like look down the card a bit and give one of the non-jiggers a mention every now and then, that'd be okay. Okay, thanks everybody for your input tonight, and the lads will be back, I believe, on Sunday for another fantastic Sunday sermon. Hopefully we get a John.
So much happening, isn't there? I mean,
John, I don't know how you're going to keep
it all in.
I know. Yeah, I mean, it's just I won't start a rant. I promise. Please, I must tell myself not to rant. But how is this Bryony and Robbie thing still rumbling on? How? Like, it's been decided, but people are still mouthing off left, right, and centre about it. It's just incredible, including the media as well. It's just like, and then obviously we've got I think that you're probably going to give O'Sheen a mention. Are you, John, on Sunday?
I think it definitely needs a little bit of it.
I mean, it's just like, racing.
He seems to find trouble, doesn't he, Ocean Murphy, wherever he goes?
Well, he's looking for trouble doing that, isn't he? What the hell has he took his licence in for?
I mean, if you look back, they say that every genius has a demons. So, I suppose we have to look at it like that. I mean, if you look at the great man Pat Eddery, I mean, what a talented individual, and that's I'm really, really obviously I'm not overestimating that there, really. I'm rather being underwhelmed on that statement. But
Shane's a little way off being noddy, though, isn't he?
He is, but if you think about what the talent that guy had, and then obviously it just all went into drink, didn't it? So they say that for every talent there are demons, and sadly it seems that for all the talent he has in the saddle, O'Sheen does have some demons. But I mean, should someone have stepped in and helped him before? Maybe, yeah.
You do wonder, don't you, if Ulster Cab are going to, how much they will stand for it, because they're standing by him every time.
Yeah.
But it started off with drugs. Excuse me. It started off with drugs. Then now it's booze. Then it's fighting. He's not a great role model, is he?
Terry Norman hasn't got his arms around this, to be honest. I thought Terry was a big help to this lad when he took him on, because he seemed very switched on to pace biases, track biases, all such as that, which Terry's very big on.
Yeah.
I assume Terry was having a lot of input, and I'm a little bit surprised that things have slid as much as they have, right, with Terry still being involved.
Yeah. Yeah, and I didn't know about this COVID breach, which obviously happened last season.
Yeah.
You know, that's just. But obviously, I mean, that's being cited as the reason for handing them the. It's obviously there's obviously a lot more to this story, but obviously, let's hope that he does get the help he needs and that he is back riding, because you know he is an excellent talent. But yeah, John, I don't know, you're keeping up. It's like an episode of EastEnders. You must be sort of like, every time you go on Twitter, you must have this rage, like that. But you know, you haven't got your mate Di Hobbs on there anymore.
I know, she's scared, but it's so sad. She didn't even care if she got slated, and then she got slated and she left.
I think maybe someone might have tapped her on the shoulder and was like, you might want to leave that there for a bit.
Yeah, I think so. You know, maybe Daddy's had a word. You know.
Yeah. Something's happened, I would say. I don't think it may have been her decision, but anyway, let's save all this for the sermon. Thank you, everybody, for tonight. And if I don't speak to anybody doesn't hear my voice before the big day, I hope that you have a very happy Christmas and a very happy New Year. And thank you very much.
Right, the show's over, boys. Thank you very much.